Okay, so this is a channeling 3rd of March with a group of girls, so children, people who were children when they passed in the spirit world.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel's just brought them to me, and the spokesperson name is Tiffany.
Hello, Tiffany.
Hello.
Hello. You've been waiting a long time to talk.
Yes, and we're so excited to talk to you.
Thanks.
We have some questions for you.
Sure.
We have been in the spirit life now.
Mm-hmm.
For some of us it's not so long.
Mm-hmm. When you say not so long.
So a year or two of earth time.
Yeah.
But some of us it's more like 6, 7, 8, even 10 years of earth time.
Right.
And we have been in the place that you call Summerland.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's great, and we have met many awesome people who have helped us so much to learn and to understand things.
Understand things different from how you would have understood them if you grew on Earth, right?
Yeah, yep. It's all very different here. And we love it. It's like a playground every day. And that's so much fun.
Yeah.
But now we have come here because the nice lady brought us, and we have learned that we can keep going now, that we can go from this place called Summerland, that you call Summerland, and we can choose the rest of our lives now.
You can.
Yeah. And
it's wonderful.
Yeah, this is what we wanted to ask you about. We have learnt that there are 2 ways that we can go. And then some people told us that we could talk to the person who did the one way first. And we had so many questions about this way, and they said, why don't you ask him yourself? And so we want to know about it, please, from you.
So what have you learned so far about the way?
Well, we know that there's 2 roads, kind of like 2 roads we can take. And one, it's like up to us. We do the work and we choose things and we make it happen and we work hard. And then there's this other way where it's got God in it. And God is sharing with us all the time. And we are sharing with God all the time. And it's sort of like, kind of like not on your own anymore. And it's sort of a bit magic. We don't understand why it's a bit more easy, maybe, than the other way. That's what they said, or the Rachel lady told us, that it's more beautiful. But we want to know, well, why is it more beautiful? Okay,
well, perhaps the best way I can illustrate it is, when somebody at Summerland tells you about something, you sort of, when you sit down in groups, like in your classes, and you sometimes have someone come along and they show you how to do something, like they might have shown you how to make a piece of grass or whatever. And when you're watching them do it, what does it feel like?
Well, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty magic. We like so much better than school on Earth.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Because also we feel like excited, and we feel like there's whole things that we never even imagined become possible in front of us. And I guess it makes us more curious about things.
Yes. But it doesn't actually do one thing, and you know what that is?
No.
It doesn't help you have the personal experience.
Like if we did it.
So if you make the piece of grass, how do you feel then?
Yeah, that's totally awesome. It's different. It's so different.
It is very different, isn't it?
Yeah.
So you could say that one way, it's like you're watching it happen, and the other way is you're a person involved in it happening. So that's a very crude analogy, perhaps.
So you're saying, what do you mean? Which way is like that?
Well, the way, God's way, that God made, is this way that your soul can expand in its capacity to know things. So you know how with the other way, you've got to learn everything. You know how you've been sitting in your classes at the school in Summerland and so forth, and you've been learning new things, and it doesn't feel much like school. It's still fun.
Yeah.
But it's like you've got to first get your head around it, and then you've got to try it out, and then you've got to, see whether you can do it, and then find out all the reasons why you can't do it and things like that, right?
Yeah, that's what we've been doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the reasons why you can't do things are all determined by the soul, what's in the soul.
Uh-huh.
Have you been taught much about the soul at this point?
Not much.
Because you wouldn't have asked much about the soul, would you?
No.
No. So if you could think about your mind, you know how the way things are presented to you at the moment, people talk to you and it enters your mind and you have a think about it, and then you decide, then your curiosity gets awakened, and then your feelings get awakened, and then you decide you want to give it a go yourself, and then you do.
Yes.
And it's the feelings getting awakened that causes you to act.
Yeah.
Because if you're not interested in the subject, like if you're intellectually you're not interested in the subject, you don't even bother doing anything, do you?
No, I didn't even think about this, but no.
It's true, isn't it? Though?
Yeah.
Yeah. So something you're not really interested in and you don't feel excited about and it doesn't cause you to wonder.
Why would you do it?
Why would you do it? Is the feeling you have, isn't it? So you don't do it.
Yep.
Yep. Well, with God, it's sort of like that. The contrast is like that. So on one hand, there's the natural love way, or the way that men have defined. And that way is basically trying hard, finding out new things, experimenting with them. It's still quite a wonderful process because you've experienced it, right? And it's still quite interesting. But it's not like having a personal experience with God. You're only just observing what God has done. You're not actually engaging the personal experience with God.
So is it like if I wanted to climb a hill and I just went and did it on my own and I got to the top of the hill and sat under the tree, then that would be the natural way. And then if I wanted to climb up the hill with someone else, I could do it with God?
No, it's bigger than that, because if you think about it, God's the creator of the universe, right?
Yeah.
And at the moment, you don't really have a personal relationship with God, do you?
No.
At the moment, you've not decided to have one yet.
No, we're trying to decide.
And in trying to decide, you don't know what you're missing out on yet. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
You only know what you know.
Yeah.
And there's things you don't know about what you might be missing out on about having a personal relationship with God.
Yeah.
So the personal relationship with God, you don't really know what it means. And so how can you make a decision to not do it when you don't know what it means yet?
Yeah, that's what we don't understand. What does it mean?
Well, what I'm suggesting to you is you'll only know what it means when you begin the relationship.
What if we don't like it?
Well, if it's something that God created, why wouldn't you like it? Is the question.
Then why do other people not do it?
I don't know.
Huh.
I don't understand really. I do understand why. A lot of it's to do with their lack of humility and a number of other things that are going on, but I don't really understand why anybody wouldn't do it. Does that make sense? And anybody who doesn't do it doesn't really know why they're not doing it, because they haven't done it yet to know the difference. Does that make sense? It's a bit like if we were here on Earth and I said, would you like to go and drive in a car? And you'd never driven in a car before and you have never seen one before, and you'd never known what the benefits of driving in a car were before, then you probably wouldn't feel a high desire to go and drive in a car.
No. Unless someone told us about cars.
But even then, you haven't done it, you haven't seen it, you haven't experienced it, So you still might have not a large desire to do it. Does that make sense? It's only when someone brings the car around and parks it in the driveway and says, you can open the window and feel the wind against your face and you can do all these kind of things and you can see the car in front of you, that you start going, oh yeah, maybe I should give that a go. Right. And then when you give it a go, it's completely different, right? Yeah. Than what anybody could have told you. Yeah. Because you have all these different experiences. Mm-hmm. Do you see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Now this is the problem that you face at the beginning with the relationship with God. Because you haven't experienced one, you don't really know what you're missing out on. No. And so the best thing to do would be just to experience it first and then make the decision as whether you want it or not.
So can we change our mind?
Yes, of course you can.
Right.
But the likelihood of you changing your mind is going to be fairly remote. But you can change your mind anytime you want. Okay. So, you know, God's given you free will. Mm-hmm. So God's given you the ability to make any choice you want at any time. Mm-hmm. So if you decide you don't want to do something with God, then that's okay with God.
So when did you decide to do it?
Well, for me it was like a growing thing. I was probably just a few years old when I first noticed it. This feeling that I had for a desire to connect with a God. And I tried to learn a lot about God initially, but a lot of what the world told me about God was all wrong. Right. And so that took me a while to work through, like all these things that were wrong, and I had to work out whether they were wrong or not. And then once I worked out that most of them were wrong, and I started focusing just on my desire for God, it's sort of like I went through a process between the time I was born and the time I was about 18 years of age, where I was just working out what was right, what was wrong, and feeling God and talking to God and wanting a relationship with God, but not having to work through a lot of things that were wrong that people told me.
So is this like, for us, we have been told that we weren't ready to make this decision yet until now, or we've been a little while ago, but how does a person get ready? Is the question. Well, they get ready by realising that there is a choice that they can make, and also by letting go. You know, when you left the earth life, you know, there would have been some sadness that you had, and you would have had a lot of family stuff you had to work through, you know, with your mums and dads on earth and your brothers and sisters on earth and so forth. I know that lots of us have changed some since we came. Mm-hmm. Like, for me, I was kind of a bit naughty.
Yep, and spoiled maybe.
Yep. Yeah. And I had to, like, I don't feel like that now. No. I feel kind of nice, or...
feel like you want to be...
Kind, maybe. Yeah. And some people here helped me with that, like... So they helped
you get over why you wanted to be naughty.
Yep.
Which was a lot about sadness, right?
Yeah, I had to...
You had to do some crying and...
I cried.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't have to, but I did cry. When I first came, I was sad about not being with Mum and Dad.
Yeah.
And then I kind of liked it here because it was fun. Mm-hmm. But then I couldn't always get what I wanted.
Because it wasn't loving to get what you wanted.
Yeah.
Something you hadn't considered.
No.
So the people who were guiding you, they knew it wasn't loving to always give a person what they want.
Yeah, but then they were kind to me when I felt sad about that. Like, they helped me just cry. And
do you remember right back in the beginning you were a bit angry about it as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was.
And then you went through your sadness. You remember that?
Yeah. So how come they didn't give us this choice back at the beginning? Was it just because we had to get nicer?
Well, partly, but it's also partly that you wouldn't have understood the choice.
Yeah, I still don't know if I understand it properly, actually.
Because we've yet to discuss a lot about it. But But what I'm trying to do is give you a little bit of a picture of a few things first. And one of the things I'm trying to say at this point is you don't know what it's going to be like having a relationship with God until you have one. So it's a bit silly to make a decision to not have one before you know what it's like to have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It doesn't make any logical sense, does it? And you know that since you've arrived in the spirit world, you're a bit more logical now than you used to be.
I guess so.
Yeah. You can reason on things, right?
Yeah. And that's fun here because people come and explain things to us, and it's fun to learn. It wasn't fun to learn.
Well, a lot of things on earth don't make any sense at all, and so it's not very much fun to learn about things that don't make any sense.
And there's so much that people on earth don't understand about anything.
Correct.
Like this whole place here, nobody understands
even knows it, right? No, because they've never been there, of course. They don't have never experienced it, most people.
So when you were on the earth, you didn't have a place like this. So how did you know?
Well, it came to my relationship with God. You see, that's the beautiful thing. There's so many beautiful things about having a relationship with God. Can I just explain some of them, maybe?
Yeah.
The first one is that your soul has the capacity to expand beyond its original creation. Now, have your teachers told you about your soul as well as your spirit body, or just your spirit body?
No, some ones have come lately.
And told you about the soul?
Yeah, like the
Up
nice
until then,
lady.
though, you weren't very interested in it, was you? Can you?
No.
You weren't interested.
No.
Like any time anybody would have said anything about the soul to you before, you would have gone, oh, yeah, let's go and play. You know,
no, that's true.
Not realising that learning about soul means that you can play a lot better.
I don't understand. But
not at the moment you don't, but that's one of the truths about learning about the soul.
You're right. Only lately did we start to think about that we are people and that we can make choices and that we are separate from other people who can make different choices.
Yep, you're an individual, in other words.
Yeah, we didn't get that much.
No, because you've just began the process of individualisation, which is what God created so that you can learn how to experience yourself, right? So there's all these theoretical things that some people have tried to present to you, but because you haven't been very interested in them and you've only wanted to just have some fun, you've gone and had your fun, but the reality is that you could have had more fun learning about these other things.
Right.
And it's a bit like me saying to you, there's this great big playground just over the horizon, but to get there you've got to learn about how to get there, which is a bit theoretical initially.
Right.
There's some theories you've got to learn about. And you listen to the theories and go, oh, I don't care. But you've never seen the playground. You see, if the playground was this giant, humongous playground, far bigger than anything you've ever experienced before, you'd go, yeah, I definitely want to learn the theory to get there, right?
Yeah.
And this is what I'm saying to you. This is what it's like trying to connect, with your connection with God. See, for most people, they don't understand the playground that it opens to them by connecting to God. And so what they do is when you start explaining some of the theories about the soul and so forth, they just tune out of that because they're having too much fun doing what they're doing already. That's what they think. But they don't realise they could be having a lot more fun. And they could be growing a lot faster and they could be changing a lot faster and understanding a lot more things if they grow with God. The other thing, another advantage of growing with God is that God can tell you things that nobody else can. Right? Because God knows things about the universe that nobody else knows. So if you have some kind of communication with God, then you can learn a whole heap of things that hardly anybody else knows, but only God knows.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Makes sense? At the moment, the way you'd have to learn is by experimentation. Someone comes along, presents an idea to you, you think, oh, that's a good idea, I'll give that a go, and so you give it a go and experiment.
Oh, now I think I understand what you meant.
But the way with God is, God presents you with an idea through your feelings and allows your soul, go through the reception of God's love, your soul expands to its capacity to understand that particular concept from an emotional perspective. So
we don't need a teacher like we have who comes here.
No, God wants to be your teacher.
That's all. That's the only teacher then.
That's the only teacher you'll need. Now, you might need other teachers to show you how to help have God become your teacher. Does that make sense? But once you've learnt how, it's a bit like you might need someone to show you how to get to the big playground over the horizon. Yep. But once you learn how, and you might need a bit of help along the way where where you realise, I didn't really understand this or I didn't really understand that. Yep. But once you're in the big playground, you'll have a direct connection with God, and you won't need anybody else to show you about the playground. Whatever you want to ask about, God will show you. Okay. And as long as you're open to hearing it, you'll hear it.
And the lady Rachel, she's like one of those people.
She's one of those people that have helped you, yeah.
But she's like one of those people that would be like the teacher who teaches us about how to have God as a teacher.
Correct. Yeah. And then there's other teachers that you've met who haven't been very interested in God, right?
Well, no, they're nice, but they didn't say anything about it.
No, that's right. And so those kind of people can't teach you about their relationship with God because they've never had one themselves.
So how come, if it's like God is the best teacher, how come this place here we get to have teachers who think God is the best teacher and teachers who don't have God as a teacher?
Because God's always interested in you doing whatever you want. So when you express a desire, then a teacher comes along to fulfill that particular desire. So it wasn't until recently that you started to express a desire to know more about your soul, to know more about how everything works. And it was then that these other teachers who knew more about how everything works came to you.
So, but what if we never had that desire?
Then you wouldn't have probably ever been able to listen to what they had to say anyway.
Then what? But if God is the best teacher, why doesn't everyone get told God is the best teacher?
Well,
and why?
There's an attempt to tell everyone that God is the best teacher, but if you think way, way back to when you first arrived in the spirit world, if someone came up to you and said, look, God is the best teacher, what would you have said about that?
I don't care.
Exactly.
I didn't really want to have a teacher.
Exactly. You really just wanted to boss people around. If you think about it right back at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do with Mum and Dad a bit. So that's what you did when you arrived. And you didn't care whether you didn't want a teacher. You wanted somebody you could boss around and do what you want.
Yeah.
So you weren't ready to have a teacher aside from a teacher that would help you get out of that place. Help you get out of that place where you were just bossy and...
So, but they are like grown-up teachers. So why don't they have... How come I...
Because they're like you were when you first arrived still with regard to God.
But they know more about other stuff than me.
They do, but they don't want to learn about God.
Oh.
They don't want to have a personal relationship with God. And it doesn't make any logical sense because they've never had a personal relationship with God, so they don't know what they're missing out on. But they've decided they don't want that. And a lot of it's because they're a bit arrogant and they look down upon it and whatever. And so while they do that, they'll never experience the benefits of it.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah.
So the key, I feel, is firstly, don't make a decision about something you don't know. Try it out first, and then you'll know.
So what's like the best thing that you got to learn from God?
Gee. There's so many things. Like, you don't know yet but you're only one half of your soul. And there's another half of your soul somewhere. And I've also got a body. Okay?
What?
And later on, there's a chance, that, depending on whether you connect to God or not, there's a chance that the two halves of your soul will merge into one.
Did you do that? So...
And that's one of the... And then in that place, God can teach you all about the universe, everything you want to know. So in that place, like, We know all of the formulas that guide all the universe, all the mathematics, all the structures, all the laws, everything.
So that's the best thing, you know?
It's definitely the best thing. To know all those things and be... Probably the best thing, though, is to feel God's love. You haven't felt God's love yet. But once you start feeling God's love, you'll feel that's probably the best thing.
Right.
And then there's the love of your soulmate, which is the other half of you. That would probably be the next best thing. And then there's the fact that you'll get to know everything about the universe. Everything. And that's pretty amazing.
And did you have like a favourite place that you went?
No, because every time you grow, every time you change, a new place gets created. So in the spirit world, like where you are now is in the first sphere, it's called, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's 36 spheres above you.
Wow. Did you get tired?
And I got to create most of those. I got to create 30 of them.
Wow.
And I was the first person to go into them. So I was all by myself in a big universe.
Did you get tired?
No, because you're at one with God. So you've got all of God's love coming to you. So you've got lots of energy all the time.
Did you get bored?
Why would you get bored?
Well,
have you ever been bored since you've got to the spirit world?
No.
It's always been something to do, isn't there? Something to learn, something to...
Yeah. But what about, like, resting? Did you get...
Well, you get to a point in your progression where you don't have to rest anymore.
Right.
That makes sense?
So it's just, like, fun all the time?
Yeah. Yep.
So did you get lonely?
No.
Being all alone in a big universe?
No, because you're at one with God, so you're communicating with God all the time. So you're never lonely. And even if you haven't got your soulmate, you're never lonely.
Wow.
And then the fact is that a person who doesn't have become at one with God can't grow beyond the 6th sphere.
Right. So it's
so
like...
they're limited at the 6th sphere. And there's 30 spheres above that.
Wow.
And what a person does who doesn't grow towards God, they limit themselves to growth. They can't grow anymore.
So, like, can you visit your friends?
Yes, as long as your friends live in a place that you have grown to be able to get to. And it's all about growth in love, actually, how loving you become.
Right.
You know, when you first arrived in the spirit world, you know, you had that feeling of wanting to boss people around and being a bit rebellious and all that, right?
Yeah.
That wasn't very loving.
No.
Now you can look back on that and go, yeah, I wasn't very loving. I'm more loving now than I was then. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But if you tried to go to the 2nd sphere at the moment, do you reckon you'd get into the 2nd sphere?
I never even thought about it. I just thought that...
Has anybody ever taken you to the 2nd sphere to show you?
No. Well, it's sort of like now is like our leaving time, they said. And so I just thought when we go, we'll be able to go. I didn't think that we couldn't go.
Yeah, well, there's places in the spirit world where you can't go. And the reason why is because there's not enough love in your soul yet.
Right.
And the way to receive love is to receive it from God is the fastest way for your soul to grow. The more love you receive from God, the more you can traverse the universe.
So that's why the Rachel lady feels really, really nice.
Yeah, because she's very loving, right?
Yeah, she's like, I don't know, like cotton wool soft compared to everyone we met so far.
Yeah.
She's like so soft, you want to like, she's so nice.
Yeah. And that's because she has a lot of God's love in her. And God's love has transformed her into a person that's much softer. So on Earth you might have heard of the term an angel.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Rachel's an angel.
Because my mummy said that I was an angel after I passed.
No, you were a spirit, but you weren't an angel yet because you were still pretty grumpy. And you were still pretty mad, and you were still pretty rebellious.
So I'm not an angel yet?
Not yet.
Right.
But you have the capacity to become an angel.
Right.
God created you with the capacity to become an angel by receiving God's love. But only those people who have received God's love can become angels.
Okay. So even though we learnt lots already, we don't really know very much, do we?
No, you've learnt a lot of physical things, what I would classify as physical things, or metaphysical, shall we call them. You know, that's what they refer to on Earth. But you haven't learnt yet about the soul-based things.
Yeah.
And yet it's the soul-based things that will give you the greatest happiness.
And what about, like, we learnt about flying, flying. And then we also learnt how we can go and see things like our old house and
so you can
stuff
see
like
things
that.
on Earth. Yep.
Yep.
So you learnt how to go back and forward across the mists.
Yep. And then, so is it going to be different? Will we still go, like if we choose now, it's the leaving time, do we not ever get to go back to like our old house or see our old school?
You can still visit anything that you could visit before. So everything that you used to be able to visit, you'll be able to visit, but you'll be able to visit new things as well because the condition of love has grown. So you think about it, the condition of love is bigger, so that means you can see more of the universe.
Oh, yeah.
Does that make sense? And the bigger the condition of love is, the more of the universe you can see.
Right.
So if you get enough love in you to go to the third dimension, so Rachel has enough love in her, you ask her what sphere she can go to. What sphere?
It's high. Like 24 or 20 something.
Yeah. Now she can't take you there because you can't get there.
Right, because I didn't learn from God yet.
Correct, and also you don't have the love that would let you exist there.
So you said that God learns, or we learn from God with love.
Correct. It's all about God's love, or growing in love. You can grow in love two ways, and that's what the two paths are. One way is growing in love your way, which is called the natural love way. And the other way is growing in love God's way. The divine love way.
Okay.
That makes sense? So that's the prospect you have. Now Rachel has chosen to grow in love God's way. And that's why she has now gone right up into the high dimensions of the spirit world, high spheres of the spirit world, right? Now she can loan you a bit of power if you want to check out another sphere, another dimension. But she can only loan you the power, she can't give it to you. In other words, she can take you there, but you can only go there while she is with you.
Okay,
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So she could probably take you to the third dimension and show you what that looks like and what it feels like. But you wouldn't be able to stay there without receiving some of God's love.
Okay.
Or without growing in more love yourself. Depends what method you use.
So
what I learned was that I wanted to grow with God's love. I wanted to become more and more like God. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Not that I wanted to have the glory and power that God has, but I just wanted to be more and more close to God. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And in the process of doing that, I learned all of these other things that most people have never learned. And there's still many, many people in the spirit world who've been there many thousands of years who haven't learned those things.
So, you know how you said that you made all the spheres, the high ones? Do you own them? Are they like owned by you now?
Not really. Some of the spirits will come and tell you that. but not really. God created the laws which allowed for the creation of those dimensions. And somebody had to get to the right amount of love before the dimension was created. Mm-hmm. And what happened was I got to the right amount of love before anybody else. And so that meant that I entered the new dimension first. And then when I entered the dimension, the sphere or universe or dimension reflected my nature and personality. So in every new dimension above the 8th, 7th and above, there's a part of my nature and personality in it that everybody forgets.
So is it like, it's not got like made by Jesus on it, or
no.
Like it's not like you built, it's not like you were an architect and built it, then everyone went and lived in it.
No, there's a lot of things I built that people are living in, but...
Right.
Yeah. You ask Rachel.
Yeah.
Like, how big is your house at the moment? Have you got a house of your own?
No, just we are together.
You ask Rachel how many houses I've got.
Yeah, that's a lot. And she said, like, she said it's nice what you did for everyone. You made the space for them to come, and then they could make their own...
Make their own spaces.
Spaces, yeah.
Correct. And every new person that came brought their personality with them, and so that meant that the dimension that they came into changed.
That's nice.
So it started off being my personality, but it's ended up being everybody's personality, all mixed together.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Rachel likes you.
Yeah.
She said you're very old.
Yeah, well, not very old in comparison to some people you'll meet in the spirit world, but I'm 2,000 years old.
Yeah. You don't seem old now.
No, well, my soul is 2,000 years old, and Mary and I have come back to Earth so that we could teach these truths to people on Earth rather than teaching them in the spirit world. That's why we're on Earth again.
So is it like you are making like this Summerland place on Earth?
Well, I'd like to make a better place in Summerland. If you could have a look at some of these other places in the spirit world, if maybe Rachel can just show you a picture of some of the other places in the spirit world.
Wow.
And I'd like to make the Earth to be like those. Wow. Which would be a lot better than Summerland, wouldn't it?
Yeah. We thought that where we were, this place you call Summerland, it was like the best.
No.
And
it's just
not.
the top of the first dimension. Wow. And then there's the second dimension, the third dimension, and everyone's more beautiful than the last. We
sort of thought, and like some people have been talking to us about it, but we still kind of thought that we were angels in heaven here.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
I understand that's what your mummy and daddies have taught you and everything, because that's what they want to believe, right?
Yeah.
But you don't become an angel unless you grow in love.
So is this heaven? Am I in heaven?
Well, you could be said to be in the, I don't know, the precursor to heaven, I suppose you would call it.
Right.
I would call the 8th dimension and above heaven,
and
these dimensions from 1 to 7, the preparations for heaven.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you'll have to go through 6 more preparations for heaven.
Wow.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then you'll get to heaven. And even that heaven is not the real heaven that I've experienced, which I feel is the place of union with your soulmate. And that's in the 36th dimension. So that's another, so many dimensions, isn't it? Another 30 dimensions before you get to the 36th dimension. And to me, that's the real heaven. But I feel that there's even greater places than that. So who knows how long there is? Because God's an infinite being, and so there's a good chance that the universal growth is infinite as well.
Right. So what do we do with, like...
How do you have this relationship with God is a real question, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to try an experiment?
Yep.
Okay. Have you ever had a feeling that you wanted to have somebody love you?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I would like lots of people to love me.
Yeah. And have you noticed when you have that feeling there's a sort of a colour that comes out of you that goes towards that person?
Yeah.
Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Right? And then sometimes the person responds. What happens when they respond?
Yeah, that's nice.
Because you get a similar feeling coming out of them.
Yeah.
Coming into you, don't you?
Yeah.
And it's all driven by your feelings, isn't it? You have to start with a feeling.
Yeah. So sometimes I have like light blue coming out of me.
That's a desire for truth.
Ah.
So when you have a light blue coming out of you towards another person, that's when you desire truth from them. That's when you want to know something from them.
Okay. So what's the love one? I don't think I know it very good.
Well, if you watch Rachel, she'll just have a feeling of love come from her towards you.
Oh.
What colour is that?
Pink.
Yeah, sort of a rosy pink type of thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like really light, bright pink.
Yeah, that's her feelings of love for you. And then if you wanted to love her back, how would you feel?
Oh. Yeah, I got it.
So you would have a desire to love her, wouldn't you? That happens inside of you.
Yeah.
And then you'd probably have that, you see the little bit of pink come out of you.
It's not the same as her pink.
No, because it won't be as much, because she's got a lot more ability to love than you do. Does that make sense?
Okay.
You've got a little bit of an ability to love, but you can grow it.
So what's the difference between when I want love from someone and when I want to love them? Because I don't think I understand. I think I want to love Rachel.
Why do you want to love her?
Because she's so nice.
Yeah. So the feeling that you want to love her. When you want love from somebody, what's the feeling that comes out? What's the feeling?
Well...
What's the colour?
I want to be closer to them and I want... Yeah, it's kind of... I don't think I know this feeling good.
No. No, most people in the first sphere don't know the feeling good, right? Because the reality is a lot of the times we want things from people, but it's not really love.
Yeah, and I think I wanted to be a bossy boots when I came.
Correct.
And so I wanted a lot of things from people, and I don't...
And that's not the same
thing.
That's
wasn't right, and I cried about that, and I
right.
knew that was not nice.
Mm-hmm.
But now I don't know what it's like to want love. Am I allowed to want love?
Yeah, you're allowed to want love, and you're allowed to want to love. So you're allowed to want to receive love, and in fact you're allowed to want to give love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So let's try that out with God, shall we?
Okay.
Because what you can do is, as the experiment, is you try it with God. You say, at this stage, you don't know whether God exists or not, do you really? People told you that God exists, yeah? Some people have told you that God exists. And other people have probably told you that God doesn't exist.
No one said God doesn't exist, but some people had different ideas about God.
Yeah, some people think God's you, God's the individual. Some people think that God's a energy, like a...
Yeah, like a life force,
like
some people said here. Yeah. And the thing in the grass, in the trees, is God, nature, is what they told me.
In other words, nature is God.
Yeah.
So there's all these different theories about God, and none of them are true, actually.
Oh.
The fact is that God is a being, just like you're a being.
Oh.
Not a person, not a human, but a being.
Can I meet
someone
God?
with a soul.
Can I go to his place?
Well, you can meet God by feeling God's feelings.
Ah, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
So God has feelings for you. Right now God has feelings for you. But you're not feeling them.
No.
Do you know why?
I don't know, God. I don't know.
Because you don't want to feel them.
Oh. Is it because I'm worried God might not like me?
Well, you're worried about God might not like you. You don't know whether God's a nice person or not because you haven't heard always good things about God, on earth in particular. Sometimes you sort of think of God as like a big daddy who might be a bit punishing and a bit overbearing. So there's a lot of reasons why you might not want to receive God's love.
So what do I do?
Well, my suggestion is, firstly, have some faith that God must be good. Because if God created Summerland, and Summerland's only the first thing that's nice, then God must be pretty good.
Yep. And Rachel showed us really cool places as well.
Correct.
And Rachel's really nice, and she knows God. So
we could pretty much assume, can't we, that God's good?
Yeah.
And God's better than anybody you can imagine. So God's far better than Rachel.
Yeah, wow.
Does that make sense?
That's pretty nice.
God's far better than 100 million Rachels.
Wow. Wow. So what do we do?
So what you do is you start to ask God if God exists, can God give me some love? And you need to be open to receiving that love. And that might mean that you need to cry while you're receiving God's love. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Just like you had to cry right at the beginning when you received the love from others, even though you were being nasty.
Wow, my heart felt all fuzzy.
Yeah. That's God giving you love. And if you stay open to it as long as you can, you will receive a lot of it.
It's so nice.
Yeah. That's God communicating with you. The way God communicates with you is via this love.
Thank you.
And the key is any emotion that you feel, you just let it out. So if you feel like crying, you just have a big cry. It's okay. God's okay with you crying. You just want to stay open as long as you can so you can receive as much as love as you can.
I feel so happy and so sad at the same time.
That's right. Eventually you won't feel sad at all. But it starts out that way. You feel happy and sad. But you feel alive.
Yeah.
Like more alive than ever before.
Yeah. It's so nice. Thank you so much.
No worries. Now I'm going to get you to close your eyes. Have all of you received some of God's love?
Yep.
Yeah.
All
Okay,
of us.
just close your eyes for a moment. All of you close your eyes and then ask for God for some more love, and you keep your eyes closed. Ask God for more love, and you just let yourself feel, and if you need to cry, you just let yourself cry, that's fine. Feel happy, sad, whatever. You ready to open your eyes?
Yep.
Okay, open your eyes.
Holy mackerel. It's different.
Yeah, you're now in a different sphere.
Wow.
Isn't that wonderful?
It's magic.
Yeah. This is your new home. But it doesn't have to be a permanent home, because you can get more of God's love and receive more of God's love and have an even better home.
Wow. Thank you so much. I feel different too. I feel like I understand more that I'm a growing up girl now.
Yeah.
That I have my life now.
You're allowed to choose your life, and you're allowed to have it, and you're allowed to choose what you want. You understand a lot of things all of a sudden, see?
And I don't feel like I don't feel like I want to be a kid forever now. I don't want a mummy and daddy on earth forever now.
That's right. Because you've got God. God's your mum and dad. You don't need any other mum and dad. And in fact, your mummy and daddy on earth, they just made your body. They didn't really do anything else. Right? And
I want to have my own house.
Yeah.
And my own friends and do my things.
Yeah. Why not?
So beautiful.
And that's the difference between receiving God's love and having to do everything the other way that you've been doing. See?
Yeah, thank you so much, and thank you so much for making all the great places that we're going to go someday.
Yeah, it's my pleasure.
Everyone wants to say thank you.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. God's made wonderful things, hey?
So good.
Yeah. You see, you think about a few minutes ago when you were asking me, why would you want to do that?
Yeah.
Can you see it's not until you experience it that you go, well, why wouldn't you want to do that?
Yeah. Because it's awesome.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it's so special, and it's so magical, and it's just really nice, and I want everyone I ever met to know how awesome it is.
Yeah, yeah. And can I just remind you that there's a lot of spheres above you, and each one of them you can enter as soon as you receive enough love from God to enter it. So that should motivate you to receive some love from
And we can just keep asking all the time if we want.
Yes, but there are things within you that you'll find that stop you.
Oh.
Does that make sense? Like you'll have feelings in you that sometimes stop you from receiving more love, and the key is to work through those feelings. But people like Rachel can show you what to do. Like if you feel a bit stuck, they can show you what to do. Like I was just having a chat with Rachel about I was feeling a bit stuck. And they made some suggestions about what I could do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Rachel said she can't help us more now, but other people will help us, like her. She's not going to be like the one for us forever.
No, she has a job. She has jobs that God has given her to do, that she wants to do, and some of the hardest jobs she takes on. Does that make sense?
Oh.
So in other words, she takes on jobs where other people can't do them.
Oh, will we a hard job?
Well, no, that's not what she feels. You could say you're one of her sideline works. Does that make sense?
Yep.
One of the things she loves doing is helping children get from Summerland to decide where they'd like to go in the spirit world.
She told me when she was little, it was hard for her.
Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, life on earth was hard when Rachel was little. Very hard. So she knows what it's like to have a hard life on earth.
Now, it also feels like our group is splitting up a bit.
Yeah, because you're not always going to stay together, you see, because each of you have got different desires. And you can't always stay together while you're trying to get the different desires met. You've got to go and do different things, right? Some of you will like maths, and some of you like science, and some of you like art, and some of you like all different things, right? And so you'll want to go and do different things. And you can always come back together and meet up with each other if you're wanting. That's always the case. But that being said, you might not meet up with each other for years and years because you're also engrossed doing the things you're doing, and particularly when you learn more from God. Some of you will learn more from God than others initially, so some of you will progress more rapidly than others, and so forth.
It seems like that we don't know each other very well anyway.
No,
it seems like I know Rachel better than all these girls that I've been with all this time.
No, that's correct.
Why?
Well, that's because Rachel lets her soul be known.
So
she displays her true personality and nature all the time. Whereas when you guys are talking with each other, you're talking about things, but you're not often sharing yourself, your feelings with each other.
I don't think we know them very.
Correct. So you can experiment with that, getting to know each other's feelings, rather than just listening to the words. Right? And Rachel can feel all of your feelings. She doesn't have to listen to the words. Does that make sense? Because she already knows what you're feeling. This is the beauty of someone who's progressed to become an angel. They know what you're feeling, and you don't even have to say the words because they already know.
Yeah.
And God already knows what you're feeling too.
Wow.
So these are all the things of the soul, things that you don't realise that a lot of the people that are your friends, you don't even really know why you're friends.
No.
Because you don't really know them. You only know what they have shown you or what you've worked out from other conversations.
To be very honest, what it feels like now, since we just moved, is that we weren't very interested in each other.
Correct. And every person in the first dimension of the spirit world is quite selfish generally and isn't very interested in another person. Oh. And you've just grown enough to start to demonstrate interest in others. That makes sense? So people in the second sphere demonstrate a lot of interest in others. They're interested in what others think and what others feel and what people's life experiences.
So we might just all go our separate ways now.
Well, you might, but if you all decide you want to grow on this path to God, it's highly likely you will catch up many times with each other in your future. It just depends on who wants to do that and who doesn't, really, and how much you want to do that.
And how come we're all girls?
Well, what do you feel about boys?
We don't get them.
Why don't you get them?
I don't know, they're different.
They're different, yeah. But why don't you get them?
Well, probably we never tried to.
Correct.
We weren't interested.
Correct.
And it's probably... Rachel just told me it's about my mummy too.
Yeah, what does your mummy feel about boys?
Not interested.
No. So even though she's with your daddy, to have you, she had to be with a man, right?
Yeah, and Mummy and Daddy still live together with my brother and everything.
Yeah. So even though she's with your daddy, is she really interested in your daddy?
I didn't understand this. I didn't see this.
No.
I didn't. But yeah, Rachel's
Not
right.
really interested.
She doesn't really.
She doesn't really care about daddy's feelings.
Like the boys very much.
No.
So,
that's not liking half the population.
Yeah.
That's a pretty bad issue of love if you think about it.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
So how come I'm automatically like her like that? I didn't even
because
think that I was like that.
some of her feelings. See, when you first came into her tummy, when Mummy became pregnant with you, you started to absorb her feelings about all sorts of things. And one of the things you absorbed her feelings about was men.
That's not really fair. That's not very nice.
It's not nice, but it's fair in the sense that God's made it that way. But it's not really accurate to say God made it that way, because in the end it's because your mummy didn't want to let go of her emotions about men. When she became pregnant with you, you automatically started absorbing some of her emotions about men. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So it's not me that wasn't interested in the boys.
Well, you're not interested in the boys now, but you can change that by growing in love. If you grow in love, you'll be just as interested in boys as you are in girls. Yeah.
Well, until now, I never even thought about that it's all girls.
That's right.
Now I think, what about
strange,
the boys?
Isn't it? Because half the population is boys.
Yeah, and they're just like...
No, just other souls. In fact, there's a pretty good chance that the other half of your soul is a boy.
Yeah. Wow. Do you think I could meet him?
Well, certainly you can. You can find him and meet him easy enough.
I'm going to do it. I'm going to find him.
Rachel can show you how. So it's just another feeling that comes out of your soul. And you just follow that feeling.
That's pretty easy.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. You've got to know what the feeling is, though.
Yeah.
Have you met Rachel's Tim?
No, but she said he could come.
Yeah. Why hasn't he come up to now, do you think?
Well, probably because we weren't interested.
Correct.
Oh.
So let's meet Rachel's Tim.
She said they're usually always together.
That's right.
That's pretty nice of her to come without him.
To come without him because you had that feeling.
Yeah.
You had the feeling where you weren't interested in boys, and Tim knew that. So.
Yeah. Rachel said we get to ask Tim all about being a boy.
That's right.
That's so good.
Yeah.
They're so nice.
Yeah. So now you've met Tim.
Yeah.
What's he like?
He's nice too.
Exactly.
But he's different.
Yes, because he's male.
Yeah.
And she's female.
Yeah, and he's a bit strange, to be honest. We're not used to it.
Well, he's only strange because you're not used to even noticing men.
Yeah. We don't mean like he's strange, like ugly or something.
No, he's quite gorgeous looking, really, isn't he?
Well, he seems nice.
Yeah.
But it's just...
Would he be classified as good looking on Earth?
I never thought about it.
Exactly, because you're not even interested in men.
No.
You're only interested in whether a girl is pretty or not.
Yeah.
Is Rachel pretty?
Very beautiful.
Okay, so you're interested in Rachel being pretty, but you don't notice Tim.
Yeah. But now we get to ask him all about being a boy, and we get to find out about boys now.
True, but can I make one suggestion?
Yeah.
How are you going to know about boys if you're not open to loving a boy?
Yeah, that's what we want to do.
And if you don't love half of the population, then you're not going to grow in love very much.
Yeah, that's not nice.
Correct.
We can see that's not nice.
Yeah.
And it's just like, it seems like, kind of like, it sounds bad, but like it's an alien. Like, boys are like aliens.
That's how most men and women think of each other on Earth. That is how they think. You go around and you watch a lot of people on Earth, and you watch their thoughts about the opposite sex, and you'll find that most of them think the opposite sex is an alien that they don't understand.
Like another creature.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
It's not true, but...
Yeah. And it's so nice that Tim... And sorry, because you're a boy. We just thought about that. Sorry.
That's okay. You only came to me because Rachel told you that I was the person who found the way.
Yeah. And that's so...
But you weren't interested in me as a person.
No, sorry.
That's okay.
Oh, sorry. We didn't really...
But that's what happens when you go from the first to the second sphere. You now become interested in the person, you see.
Yeah.
And that's a really good thing, isn't it? Like, that means you're being more loving.
Yeah.
The more you're interested in the person, the more loving you are.
Yeah. It seems like, actually, now, people are interesting. And...
Even boys.
Yeah. Well, you are very interesting, and we are excited that Tim wants to talk to us.
And there's a lot you can learn about just being open to a boy, like emotionally open. You see, with your mum, she's very, very closed to men, and she doesn't really like men very much, and she's very afraid of them, and she only wants them for safety.
Yeah.
And she wants them to make her feel safe and secure and provide for her, but she doesn't really care for them. She doesn't care about what they feel. You see?
It's kind of like robots. She wants them like robots, kind of.
She does want them like robots, yeah.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are men on Earth who want their women to be robots too. You know, unfortunately, that's the way it is. But
yeah, I wonder if Daddy wants Mummy to be a robot for him.
I don't think so. The feeling I get from your daddy is different, but he's a bit confused about why Mummy doesn't have any feelings for him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is so interesting. And there's so much now for us to think about and learn about, and we can experiment and we can talk to these guys, and yeah. Thank you so much.
A pleasure.
No, thank you so much. It's so good. Thank you so much.
And remember how all you did was had to receive some of God's love.
Yeah.
And you open your eyes and you're in a different place.
I want to try that again now.
Pretty amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, and even though it's sad, it's happy. And
you've got to let yourself feel sad when you feel sad.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to let yourself cry if you need to cry.
Yeah.
And there are some things you're going to feel bad about, you know, some things you'll be ashamed of, and some things you feel like sad about and you did the wrong thing about, and some people you might be angry with and you've got to let go of that. You've got to, forgive them and go through the process of grief. And
so all those things where I thought I did some of those things in Summerland, I still have to do it more?
Yeah, because you've only started the process in Summerland. Remember, Summerland's in the first sphere.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of levels of love that needs to be worked a way through.
Yeah.
And it's only when you reach the top of the 7th sphere that you've let go of everything that's sad.
Wow, that's a lot of sad.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So you've got to go through the 2nd, the 3rd, the 4th and so forth until you get to the 7th. And then when you go from the 7th to the 8th, you become at one with God. In other words, you're no longer sad.
Right.
And then you can still receive more love than that, but now you're no longer sad. And in fact, when you become at one with God, you could say that's the heaven.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said before.
And thousands of years ago, I talked about that being the kingdom of the heavens.
Right. Right. Wow. There's so much to learn about. And you know what else? This sad, it feels like a happier sad than, say, when I was sad in the place you call Summerland, or when I was sad when I was going to die and those things.
That's right. And the reason why is because you have more love in you now. Right. And so the sadness is not as overpowered. Well, it's not as...
it feels more like God is there with the sad.
Correct. Yeah.
It's like, it's still sad.
So you're not alone with it.
Yeah, and it's also like it's mixed together. It's like a feeling, like when I was really sad before I died on Earth, I just felt really hurt, pain inside of me, and really, really sad, and kind of like hurting in my chest and my whole body. And now, like, just before when we did that thing, I felt like, oh, so sad, but also at the same time, oh, love. Love, I think it's love.
Yeah, it's about love, God's love.
And that's so nice for me. It makes me feel nicer about me. Does that make sense?
Makes you have a better sense of your own worth.
Thank you so much.
No worries. Do you remember what you died from on Earth?
It was like cancer.
Cancer, was it? Yeah.
I don't remember exactly the cancer, but it was like a cancer.
How old were you?
7.
7,
Nearly 8.
Nearly 8. How long was that ago for you?
About 5 years, I think it is.
Yeah. No worries. Yeah, so that would have made... Mum and Dad would probably be pretty sad too that you died from cancer.
Yeah. It was sad for them.
Yeah.
Very sad. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Yeah.
And all the girls say thank you so much.
Yeah. Be glad when I'm talking to you again and there's a bunch of guys and girls.
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to go now and talk to Tim now.
No worries. Well, my name's Jesus and who you've been talking through is Mary.
Thanks so much, you two. Thanks. And we would love to talk to you again, or me, I would.
Yeah.
If we can.
Come back and talk to us whenever. You'll find that there's so many lovely experiences that you'll enjoy having the experiences a lot.
Okay. Bye.
Bye for now.